Harmony 1 update.
Let's get into it.
So today, guys, we are going to be taking another cheeky look at Harmony 1 and see exactly how this has been performing in the last few hours or so. As we get into this video, guys, if you do find this useful and informative, do go ahead and hit that like button for us. We both really do appreciate it. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you'd like to stay up to date with the new cryptocurrencies, the hidden gems, technical analysis, and news, then why not become a subscriber? By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It's free, you'll stay well informed, so why not? Chris, anything else you would like to add before we jump on down and get into everything Harmony 1?
Yeah, so we've got a long-awaited interview with Harmony 1 on the 12th of June. So do tune in. If you're not subscribed, smash up that subscribe button, hit the like button, and join us on the 12th, because that's going to be a really good interview.
Fantastic. Right, let's jump on down and get into all this technical analysis for Harmony 1.
Let's do it.
Okay, guys, here we have the Fear and Greed Index, and today we have a rating of 24, which is still extreme fear. We have extreme fear from yesterday, which was rated at 23, so slight improvement there. And last week we saw extreme fear down at that 10, 11, 12, that kind of range, so extreme fear. So obviously, we are getting in a bit of an improvement. We've seen the market's been recovering quite well, and this is still a generalized fear and greed index. Okay, so it just covers the entire crypto space. It doesn't look at Harmony specifically, and we are still waiting for Harmony 1 to actually go and launch onto 𝗖𝗢's platform. Once it's on here, we'll be able to look at 𝗖𝗢 individually and look at how basically Harmony 1 is performing according to 𝗖𝗢's ratings. How is the fear and greed index for Harmony according to 𝗖𝗢, the liquidity, the risk to reward, all that kind of good stuff. So we are waiting for that one. Once that launches on here, we'll be able to use that as well, and we'll get more information. Here we have Bitcoin's dominance, and again, this is kind of just illustrating how Bitcoin's dominance is dropping once again. So obviously we came down to 39. We actually increased Bitcoin's dominance here. It went up to about 46%, 47%, and we have brought this back down to 41.7 right now. Now, if we look back at the history here, we can see something similar did happen. We went down to 37, we moved up, we came back down before it actually rose up again. So I am quite cautious that if history does repeat itself, as unfortunately it tends to, then ultimately Bitcoin's dominance should start rising again. And again, this could be because more money flows into Bitcoin, or because more money rolls out of altcoins into Bitcoin, or just leaves the market altogether. So I'm mindful of what's going to potentially be on the horizon here, before we actually get the Bitcoin dominance dropping all the way down to that 30% level. And that's when those altcoins do go parabolic. So always good to keep an eye on what Bitcoin dominance is looking like, and what the over kind of bigger picture, that macro picture of the crypto space, what it's looking like, right? So for Harmony 1, it's important that we know where the cycle currently is, and how Harmony 1 represents or is represented within this cycle. The other thing that's always important to take a look at is the stock to flow model for Bitcoin here. So obviously with everything kind of being led by Bitcoin, it's important to know where Bitcoin is in its cycle. Here we can obviously see the recent kind of correction for Bitcoin. And this happened again, obviously, late May. And we can see back in 2017, it happened in July. They had that nice sharp correction. Not as sharp, mind you, as the July correction, May July correction of 2013. That was incredibly steep, much steeper than what we've seen over here, and not as steep as what we saw over in 2017. The reason that I bring this up is obviously what happens after this correction is this parabolic move to the upside. It happened on 2 different occasions here, and we are still below our actual value here for Bitcoin. So this line that runs through the middle shows us the value of Bitcoin, or in theory, the theoretical value of Bitcoin based on its scarcity. So right now we know that we're below value for Bitcoin, and we are still expecting that spike to rise all the way up to there, which would put it around that $200,000 to $300,000 Bitcoin, which is quite a high number to kind of swallow. It's not something you think about too much. You think 100K, maybe 150, but if it spikes up to the same degree that you see here above this line, it does put it at around that kind of $200,000 to $300,000 level. Now, if Bitcoin rises that way, all boats do rise with a rising tide. And obviously the altcoins will also go parabolic once they decouple from Bitcoin as well. So we are expecting a pretty phenomenal roller coaster of a ride for basically the crypto space. And what you've seen right now is pretty much standard that you've seen happen time and time again. So history has a tendency to repeat itself. It appears to be repeating itself. So all of this kind of stuff does have a pretty good outlook for things like Harmony One. So as we go ahead and take a look at the chart here for Harmony One, and I just remove this from the chart here, there's a few things that's worth kind of pointing out. This is the daily chart. I'm just going to bring this down and scale it up a little bit. So here we can see, the bigger macro view for Harmony One. We obviously have the 5 waves that I've kind of plotted out here a little bit. And ultimately, you see that this started back in March of 2020. Okay, so during that crash was the low point. That's actually what triggered pretty much this upward swing, which would be forming wave 1. This actually then peaked out in the 11th of August, and then obviously comes down, and we had that crash down here, which actually found a support line being formed. This basically ended towards the end of the year, which was wave 2. Okay, so from August to the end of December is pretty much your wave 2. We then went into this year, right? And that was basically wave 3. Everything was moving to the upside. It was fantastic. And that seemed to top out mid-March. And now we obviously see that wave 4 has started. Now, when it comes to Elliott wave theory, there are some very specific rules that have to be applied. Wave 2 here is normally about 50 to 60% of wave 1, and that kind of makes sense where it currently sits there. Wave 3 here is usually the longest wave, okay? So that was usually the longest one that's in the model. It's not the shortest, so it's a rule there. Wave 4 here is usually about 40% of whatever wave 3 was, and that kind of comes in line with what we've seen so far. And wave 4 cannot cross wave 1. So we know there's a theoretical limit here that Harmony 1 could never go any lower than 1.4 cent. Otherwise, it's not an Elliott wave and the whole theory is invalidated. I'm not saying that we're going to drop down to 1.4. I don't think that's the case at all. We also see this upward trend line forming here. And again, that kind of peaks at wave 1. We had the breakout of that trend here. As we go up into the peak of wave 3 and back testing down. So there's a theoretical low level that we could potentially find support on this trend line if we needed to, if ever there were another correction to the downside. With that being said, we have already kind of had an over 40% correction, which is the typical wave 4. So it's unlikely that we'll end up with a lower low. Instead, we've actually been breaking trends on the micro view. So completing this macro view, we obviously have wave 5 coming up here. Now I've put this at $1. And I also put it at the end of the year. But again, this thing has potential to go much further beyond this as well. And it's whether or not wave 5 actually comes in much lower, and then we have an ABC correction and then starts a new cycle all over again. I'm leaving this just up here for now as context will become clearer in time. So right now, from the low of March, the beginning of wave 1 to the peak of wave 3, we saw Harmony 1 gain 18,943% in gains, and it's had a 74% correction from the peak of wave 3 to the bottom of what I'm calling wave 4. So a very significant correction, but significantly a huge rally to the upside. So anyone who was purchasing Harmony 1 back in March of 2020, you will be doing incredibly well for yourselves right now. And that would still represent that you've got gains, considering if you're still holding here, of just under 10,000%. So pretty good stuff across the board there on that. Now let's take a look at Harmony 1 on our hourly view. And this is where we start to see some of those other changes happening here. As I zoom on in for you guys so you get a bit of a clearer view, right? So we have a downward trend here that was forming from this point on the 20th of May. And we can see this actually had a couple of touch points on here, and then we've had a breakout event this side. We also had an upward trend from our low point through to a couple of touch points on the journey to the upside. And then obviously we see that breakout event really happening here. So when we had this triangular wedge forming, we knew that there was going to be a breakout event. It was either going to go up or it was going to go down. There's only one or two things that was going to happen. One of these support trends was going to either the resistance trend line or the support trend line. One of them was going to be stronger than the other. And in the case of Harmony 1 here, the upward trend was much stronger than the downward trend. So we saw this breakout. Now, again, if I just zoom on out here for a second, the other thing that you can see is I actually drew this yellow box on our chart. This yellow box is the key area that we're looking to push all the way through. So it's vital that we actually get a candle up here. And ideally, we want this to be the end of Sunday. Okay, so a weekly close candle above this yellow box is going to be a very, very good indicator of for weeks to come. And right now we've entered this box. Now we found resistance just at the top here. And this kind of comes in line with the resistance that we found 3 times prior across this line here. Now, the problem here is that we actually were overbought. Okay, so too much Harmony 1 was actually being purchased, so we did have to have a correction to the downside. So this hourly chart is just showing you exactly how high things are at the moment, and we do need to get this corrected to the downside here a little bit. In order to do that effectively, we need to lower the volumes that are coming in and make sure that the selling volumes are significantly lower and they're diminishing over time. So we want volumes to decrease whilst we decrease our relative strength index to the downside. That will help protect the price. We want to stay inside this yellow box whilst we do this correction. If we're able to fulfill that and we nail that absolutely perfectly, we have a very good strong chance over the weekend to go ahead and actually take this above our yellow box and get that weekly closed candle. Getting that weekly closed candle is going to be absolutely vital to moving Harmony up to the next level and really taking this this recovery by storm and really moving Harmony forward. So right now this is fantastic to see that we're entering this box, to see this correction coming in. We do need to see that volume decreasing in order to really take advantage of this situation. So it's important what happens in the next kind of probably 12 to 24 hours to see how that kind of forms and plays out. So I know it's been a bit of a green day. We've seen a significant rally here from this breakout event with Harmony 1. But we do not want to get too excited until we know how it plays out inside this yellow box right now. But once that is done, if I just zoom on out here, we can obviously see this rally to the upside. There is another downward trend line here that we'd obviously have to break through. And this is on the journey to that first price target, which would be up there. So I do feel that we have some interesting levels here set out for Harmony 1. I'm not going to give too much away right now. I think we have a bit of an immediate kind of thing that we need to be paying attention to, which is how we play this yellow box right now. We want to make sure that we get that closed candle by week's end, and then we'll do another update as we usually do for Harmony, and we'll talk about what is forming here within these candles, and where things are likely to go once we get that closed candle up there on Sunday, if we do happen to achieve that. So yeah, Harmony 1 is doing well. It's got a good day today. I'm expecting a bit of a pullback. We want to stabilize the price where we can, and then from there we should start to see significant growth, hopefully moving further forward. Chris, is there anything else that you want to add for Harmony 1?
Don't forget, we've got the Harmony pool. I think we've got, what is it, 36, possibly 37 million Harmony delegated to the pool, which is phenomenal. So jump in the pool. I think we're about roughly 10.5% APY for the pool as it currently stands, which is around the average for Harmony 1 pools.
Fantastic. Guys, if you found this update useful, informative, do go ahead and hit that like button for us. We both really do appreciate that. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you would like to stay up to date with all those new cryptocurrencies, the hidden gems, the technical analysis and news, then why not subscribe to the channel? By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It's free. You'll stay well informed. So why not? Right. With that said, done and out of the way, we hope everyone has a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Yeah, take care.